where the shores end. They say first love is the brightest, but no one warns you that it can also be the most painful. Whenever I think of Dylan, a warm haze settles over me. A little foggy, a little golden, always with the taste of salty sea air and a faint bitterness of fear. I met him where our small coastal town dissolved into the infinity of the ocean. That day I'd run away from home to quiet my thoughts. My parents were fighting again, over nothing as usual, and I wanted to forget their endless storm. He stood at the very edge of the cliff, his back to me, listening as waves tried to outshout the wind. "You come here when the world gets too loud too, don't you?" he asked without turning. His voice sounded like he'd known me all my life. I sat down beside him, letting my legs hang over the void. "How do you know?" "Because that's why I come," he smiled. That was how our almost unreal summer began. We spent our days wandering the narrow streets of the old town, buying cheap ice cream, talking about things people usually swallow and hide. He could listen, really listen, so tenderly that I wanted to tell him everything I'd ever been afraid to say. And his laughter was so genuine it could warm even the gloomiest evening. But every summer has its edge. Every story, its shadow. Dylan's appeared the moment he got a call from the hospital. He said it was nothing serious, just some old medical matter he had to settle. But I saw how his hands shook. He disappeared for hours, sometimes days, returning exhausted, as if fighting someone invisible. Once, I found a crumpled envelope in his backpack, test results, messy notes, and one word I couldn't forget: high risk. "You should have told me," I whispered when he finally confessed. "I didn't want to scare you, Bridget. You're the best thing that's ever happened to me. I didn't want you to see." His illness wasn't a death sentence, but it demanded a real fight. And stubborn, gentle Dylan feared only one thing: that I would leave. I feared losing him. We spent evenings on those cliffs, and he'd lean his head on my shoulder, pretending nothing hurt. But I felt his shaky breaths, caught his trembling glances. One stormy night, lightning splitting the sky, he said, "If someday I'm gone." "Don't say that," I cried, but the wind stole my voice. "Listen," he took my cold, rain-soaked hands. "If I'm gone, you have to live. Don't hide. Don't shut down. You're stronger than you think." I cried like my tears could save him. He held me tightly, and I felt his body trembling, not from cold. But our story didn't end in tragedy. I won't let it. He left for treatment in the city, leaving me a note with shaky handwriting. "I'll come back, because you're my home." At first, days without him felt unbearable. I walked the same streets, listened to the same waves. Everything reminded me of him. I waited for letters, quick calls, tiny signs. And they came, short but warm. Every "I dreamed of you" gave me strength. 3 months passed. Autumn washed away the last traces of our summer. I stood at the station, holding the scarf he once gave me. The train stopped, the doors opened, and there he was. A little thinner, a little paler, but with that same smile that made my world calmer. "I told you I'd come back," he said, and life was in his voice. I threw myself into his arms, and he held me as if afraid to let go. And then I knew. Our love wasn't a summer whim. It wasn't a storm that passes. It was an ocean, deep, sometimes dangerous, but real. "You're my home too, Dylan," I whispered. When Dylan returned, it felt like life had finally aligned. But no one says that even after a storm, the sea still trembles. People too. For the first few weeks, I held on to every moment. I feared that if I let go of his hand, he'd vanish like mist between the station and home. He didn't talk about the hospital. I didn't ask. We lived in the present. One evening, he invited me to our cliffs. The sun was melting into the sea, and the sky glowed copper pink. After everything, each sunset felt sacred, like nature thanked us for staying together. "Aren't you cold?" I asked when he shivered. "I'm never cold when you're here," he smiled, though the smile was tired. A shadow shifted inside me. "Dylan, are you really okay?" He rested his elbows on his knees, silent for a long time. "I'm better. Truly. But better doesn't mean it's over." My heart clenched. "The doctor said remission is possible," he said. "But there's more treatment ahead. Hard treatment. They might send me to a different clinic for months, maybe longer." "You want to go alone again?" My voice was barely a breath. He looked at me like searching for permission to live. "I don't want to leave you. But I don't want to drag you into this fight. It's exhausting, Bridget. It breaks you." I took his trembling hand. "You're not dragging me anywhere. I'm already in it, with you, all the way." For the first time that evening, he smiled honestly, summer bright, eyes shining with tears. "You don't know what it's like, staying beside someone sick. It wears you down. And you don't know what it's like to love someone so much you fear letting them fight alone." The sea spoke for us. He pulled me into a careful, trembling embrace. "If you're truly ready, I want you with me. But I have no right to ask." "You don't have to ask," I whispered. "I already decided." Weeks became a new life. I sat beside him in clinics, held his hand in antiseptic-scented hallways, learned to breathe through fear. We laughed, fought, cried. We learned each other's strength. Then one day Dylan returned from an appointment with a small box in his hand. "Don't worry, it's not that kind of proposal," he said shyly. "I'll only ask when I'm healthy. When I can give you more than a fight." But inside was a thin silver chain with a tiny marine compass. "So you'll know that wherever I go, I'll always find my way back to you." My fingers shook as I clasped it around my neck. "You're my direction too, Dylan." When the day of his departure arrived, we stood at the same station where we had reunited. But now I didn't fear. Fear existed, but wrapped in hope. He touched the compass. "When I get off the train next time, I want that to be the real proposal. Then come back," I whispered. "No matter what, no matter how hard." He kissed me like memorizing my breath. "I'll come back to you, Bridget. That's my promise." The train pulled away, and I held the compass, warm against my skin. Our story wasn't ending. It was learning how to breathe. When Dylan left, the days stretched endlessly. I lived by messages, short texts, shaky video calls after treatments, letters smudged at the edges. Each, "I'm holding on," was a flame in the dark. One winter morning, with the sea gray as shattered glass, he wrote, "I'll be home soon. I've got news." Soon could mean anything. But I chose hope. 3 days later, I heard a train whistle from the street. I ran. without a coat, without locking the door. The train stopped. The doors opened, and he stepped out, not thin, not broken. Different, stronger, alive, reborn. I don't remember running to him, only the feeling of being lifted off the ground as he spun me around, both of us laughing, crying. The doctor said my numbers look good, he said, holding me tight. Really good. Remission is stable. I'm recovering, Bridget. I cried into his shoulder until the world blurred. He touched my compass. Can I keep my promise now? I nodded, shaking. Yes, please. We wanted a simple, honest wedding, just like our love. The cliffs where we first met became our altar. The sea was calm, sunlit, almost ceremonial. I wore an ivory dress my aunt had sewn, with wildflowers in my hair. Dylan wore a white shirt with the sleeves rolled up, his favorite way, and a silver anchor bracelet I'd given him. The world felt still. Bridget, he said, voice trembling, you stood by me when everything in me was breaking. You put me back together when I couldn't. If love is a compass, you've always been my North Star. My knees nearly gave out. Dylan, I said, choking back tears, you taught me courage. You showed me that even when dark waters rise, love can be a shore. With you, I learned not to fear tomorrow. He held my hand, and the world paused. When we kissed under the sound of waves, the wind rose as if celebrating. Then came barefoot dancing on warm sand, laughing friends, hot tea in metal mugs as evening chilled. We sat wrapped in one blanket, watching the sunset shimmer with every color of our past. You know, he said softly, I wouldn't have come back without you. You would have, I smiled. I just helped you find the way. He touched the compass again. And now I always will. We married that day, but truly, we had chosen each other long before. There on the cliff's edge, two cracked souls decided not to be afraid. Our story isn't about running away. It's about returning. About love being the bravest road home.